Hey y'all, it's time to cook out of my Amish cookbooks again. So let's see what we're gonna do. Can you figure it out? We have a generic Velveeta, wide egg noodles, ground beef, cream of mushroom soup, cream of celery soup, and a jar of tomato paste. That can only mean one thing: Yumzetti. Have you ever heard of it? It's in nearly every cookbook of the Amish faith that I've ever seen. Well, hey y'all, I've got everything started, but you haven't missed anything. We're gonna make Yumzetti and we're gonna talk about it just a little bit here. So, I'll talk to you about this cookbook here in a little bit, but let me tell you what I've gotten started. You haven't missed much. We've got a pound of hamburger, and I have chosen to get organic grass-fed. That's what I like to try to feed my family if I can afford it. If you can't afford that, then you get what you can get. All right, so I'm just gonna break this up and cook this in my Lodge cast iron pan that we love so much. Try to use cast iron at every opportunity. I've already started my water boiling, and I put a little salt in it to help it get going. I'm not sure if the salt in the water actually does help it to boil faster. I always was told that, and then our oldest son did a science experiment in his homeschool high school, and he proved that it made no difference whether you added salt or not, it boiled at the same rate. So I don't know, but I did add salt. If nothing else, it will season the noodles. All right, so we've got the noodles boiling. So our recipe calls for a package of noodles, and I'm not quite sure, it just says a package. So I'm not sure if it means 8 ounces or 16 ounces. This is how it comes in the store. I'm gonna go ahead and cook them all down, and I'm gonna get an idea of whether it meant to say 8 or 16, and I'm gonna let you know that. Other than that, I'm going right by the recipe. Anytime I cook out of my Amish cookbooks for y'all, I'm going right by the recipe, even though I might modify it in my own cooking for my own family. For y'all, for this purpose, I'm gonna go right by the recipe. Calls for 1 pound of hamburger. Calls for the egg noodles that I'm boiling right now. It calls for a cream of celery soup, cream of mushroom soup, and a can of tomato paste. And it also calls for 6 to 8 ounces of Velveeta. We'll talk about that here in a minute. And again, this is not, I'm not trying to be healthy here. I'm just trying to work my way through my Amish cookbooks for y'all. This is a quintessential Amish recipe. You see this in almost every Amish cookbook that you pick up. Yumzetti, you can see it on Pinterest. In fact, I've got it pinned on my Pinterest account, which is Heritage Ways. I've got my little folders, is that what they're called, on Pinterest, all organized, all nice and neatly there for myself. And I can find what I need. I don't use Pinterest as a social media. In fact, I'm not on there a lot, but I do have almost 1,000 pins that I've just pinned over the years and collected for ideas, and I refer back to those. So enough about Pinterest. Egg noodles. This is different from your pasta, like your spaghetti or something, because this is made from basically eggs, flour, eggs and flour. That's basically it. You can make these homemade, and we'll do that sometime in a video. Okie dokie, so we've got a pot of noodles cooking for 16 ounces. We've got our sauces. Now the recipe says to brown our hamburg, is what it says. So we're browning our hamburg. Cook noodles until tender. Let's check on those. And then it says to mix together our soups and our tomato paste. Now, I do not, this is the first time I have bought cream of soups in a long, long time. Really a long, long time. And I was so thankful. I wanted to buy them for this recipe, but I was so thankful they were on sale. The name brand was cheaper than the store brand, and for some reason it does taste better. I don't know if canned soup can taste good, you know what I mean? But there's so many of our recipes, if you're my age or what have you, that our childhood recipes call for cream of soups. All right, Cream of mushroom, cream of celery is what it calls for. So we're going to add those. Now, if you want to modify this recipe, please do. You can make your own roux or white sauce, it's called, with flour and butter or coconut oil and your milk of choice, or your non-milk like almond or something. But like I said, we're just going by the recipe on this playlist, on this YouTube playlist. Just want to follow the recipe for y'all and let y'all decide how to modify it. Okay, we're going to mix these three together, and while the hamburg and the noodles cook. Okay, let's talk about cheese food. Now, you know, we all, okay, not all of us, quite a many of us who are either my age or older, or live in the South, or maybe don't live in the South, you know that you have had Rotel dip made out of Velveeta. Have you not? Have you never heard of it? If you've never heard of it, let me know, and we'll just have to make a video about it. But I'm not a fan of Velveeta because of the lack of nutrients and food value that it has. But again, every now and then, that 20% where you eat unhealthy every week, well, you can make this recipe. So it says 4 to 6 slices. Well, where I live, I've never heard of sliced Velveeta, so let's slice this up some. This is store brand, and I'm telling you, I bought this. I think it was $4 or something, somewhere in that neighborhood. The Velveeta brand was $7.99, people. They think a lot of their cheese food. Not even going to read the ingredients because that might ruin the whole atmosphere here. So anyway, we've got some cheese. I have read, I think the recipe, the Yumzetti recipe that's on my Pinterest, does call for layering this differently and adding more cheese. But you know what? For this purpose, I'm going right by that recipe. Okay, let me give you one tip, and then we're going to drain the noodles. You're never supposed to leave the lid on your pasta or your noodles when they're cooking because it could boil over. But I do put the lid on my pot of boiling water before I add my pasta or my noodles. And that just preserves the heat. You don't have heat escaping, and helps the water to boil faster, and you've saved your energy that way. Your stove's energy. Maybe not your energy. Okay, we're gonna drain these noodles, drain these noodles over here. My big O, I try not to have any plastic in my kitchen. I don't always succeed, but I love old and I love heirlooms. All right, so let's dump out this 16 ounces of noodles. Just set it back over here for now. Let that cool. Instead of sitting it on my countertop. So let's finish chopping up this hamburg, as they call it. Okay, I think our hamburg's all mixed up. Let's turn that off a sec and talk. Here's the cookbook. Wonderful Good Cooking from Amish Country Kitchens. This is a little bit, it's probably not my favorite, but it's great. I'm not going to get rid of it. It's got a lot of history. That's one thing I like about this particular book. Whole lot of history and information about the Amish faith. let me just tell you this one thing. Let me pick something here. All right, do you know that they get their non-conformity practices from Romans 12 too? It says, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So they believe that they should completely separate themselves in almost every way possible from the world. So, hey, I'm not condemning them. They're my good friends. I love them. And I highly respect these people, the Amish. That's why I wanted to bring to you this playlist of cooking through my Amish cookbooks. This is going to take until I'm forever old, but that is fine. This is great. So, I'll be typing the recipe down below for you all to follow along in your own kitchens. But it says to brown the hamburg, cook the noodles until tender, mix the soup and the tomato paste, put in layers, bake at 350 for 45 minutes. Then remove and add cheese to the top. Return to the oven until the cheese is melted. This is so easy. I would double this. Personally, I would say that this would feed a smaller family. When I say smaller, I'm saying maybe 6, maybe 4 to 6. I would double this if all my family were eating this tonight, which they're not. So here we go. It does not say to drain or to drain the beef. So what I'm going to do, I'm not too worried about the grease myself, but also this is a very good and healthy meat. It's grass-fed, nothing bad. It's grass-fed organic. So I'm not worried about the grease, because actually that's probably very healthy for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my, doesn't say what to add first, and I'm thinking about this sticking since I don't have, you know what I'm going to do? Let me get, this is not ideal either. Oh, you know what I'll do? Oh, not olive oil. I will get some butter. Hold on, yes, let me get some butter. And let's do this. Excuse my hands, but of course they're clean in the kitchen. Look, I'll do this. Okay, we improvised. We got a greased pan. Hey, what they do before that spray anyway? When I was growing up and learning how to cook, we didn't have spray. Now that makes me sound old, but you know what? There's so many recent, quote, inventions in recent years. So we didn't have spray. We cleaned we greased the pan that way. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to add the noodles. So let me bring the noodles over here. Let's not drip. Okay. See, everything's off. Let me set this here so we can kind of work here. Remember, I'm going to add half of these, so that would be 8 ounces for y'all. Just use this. That would be 8 ounces, half of these noodles. I love egg noodles. They are so not awesome for certain people's diets and health problems, but okay. Is that hot? Yeah, it's a little bit hot. I'm going to just put this meat, sprinkle this meat all over here. Remember, I'm not worried about the grease. It's a good, healthy, organic fat. Doesn't have any bad stuff in the fat. This is simple. And you know what? Your granny or somebody that's non-Amish, they might have cooked this and y'all might have called it something different. Last thing is the sauce here. It's a lot of it, but I'll show you how I'm going to kind of move it around so it gets down in the noodles. Otherwise, you're going to have hard noodles on the bottom. I have made other recipes or inventions of mine, and I mix all this together and then you can just pour it in. But all right, so I'm just going to spread it around evenly first of all. And then what I'm going to do, because I know this is thick and this is not going to like go down, it's not going to cook down in there, it's not going to drip down in there, so I'm just going to kind of open it up and just kind of make way. Just kind of make a way for the stuff to kind of get down there if it wants to. I'm not really stirring it together. And just know this didn't have any browned onions or anything. This is just what you see is what you get. 350, 45 minutes. And then we're gonna add this sliced Velveeta on top, or store brand. Put it back in the oven until it's melted. It's really simple, and I'm sure you could freeze this because I have frozen things like this before. Maybe you would freeze it like this. Let it cool, wrap it up, make a sign to tell what it is, and how to cook it, and then add your cheese at that time. So there you go. Next time you see it, I'm gonna pull it out of the oven. Okay, that was 45 minutes. And like I said, we're gonna add our sliced Velveeta to the top. Now it said to use 4 to 6 slices. And I made, let's see here. Oh, that's 9 slices. Now you put it back in and let the Velveeta melt. I shouldn't say Velveeta, but the, you know, the generic that we're using. I'm gonna put the timer on for 6 minutes. If I can figure out how to use it. I'm gonna put the timer on for 6 minutes and we'll see if that'll cause it to melt, okay? Y'all, we have the finished product. We have Yumzetti from the Amish cookbook that we used today. I'll write the recipe down below. I hope you'll try it. It's gonna be good. Here, let's dip into it. All right, let's dip into it to see what y'all think. You've got the layers there. The cheesiness. All right, well, it might not be the most beautiful thing, but I bet your family's gonna love this. Noodles, meat, sauce, cheese. Okay, well, there you go. There you have Yumzetti, a very popular recipe from many Amish cookbooks, and I hope y'all will try this. Look for the other recipes that I'm cooking out of the Amish cookbooks. I hope you'll subscribe below and then hit the little bell, which is beside the word subscribe, so you'll get notifications. Like this video if you want to see more recipes from my Amish cookbooks. Thanks for joining me, y'all. Have a good day.